Welcome to the Ultimate Radiant Cypher Guide.
I knew your every move.
Alright, I'm going to assume that everybody knows Cypher should be watching flank on offense, holding down a site on defense. I'm going to get more into how I specifically play Cypher, what sites I play, and some really basic but really effective setups that I use on the maps that he's good on. Let's start off by establishing what maps are good for Cypher and what maps you should be picking somebody else. Cypher's best maps are going to be Bind, Haven, Ascent, and Split. You can get away with him on Fracture, but I definitely recommend someone like a Chamber. And then Breeze and Icebox, I think there's definitely some better picks. You can use him, but I would definitely recommend maining some other agents that you would get more use out of their util. I almost always like to play the B side of the map. I feel like you definitely get the most usage out of all of your util. I'll show you guys a couple of my setups now. So we can start in hookah. A really good cage is to put one right here. So it's going to block all of their entrance in, and it gives you kind of two different sections to play. You can put different trips inside of hookah, like this one right here or right here. Some other good trips on site that I showed you guys under here. I typically try not to put them under the window because you can actually hear them from right here in this windowsill, and they'll actually just be able to shoot them. Some other good trips I like to play with this setup with the cages on top of here. If I really want to put emphasis on holding back sight, say they have a jet or a raise or something that can get on top or behind me, I'll put these cages up, and then I have these trips right here kind of guarding me so I can play back sight. It's really awkward for a jet or a raise to dash or satchel into cages like that. These are some really good trips. If they take a second to get sometimes, but these two are really good trips to play off of. You can play off elbow, backside. You can play in this corner over here. As far as cams go, this is a really good cam right here. I showed you this earlier, and you can put them up on these things over here. So this is the one that obviously sees long. You can also put it a little bit further back though, and this sees into sight. It gives you a little bit of a view into hookah and all of sight. A big mistake I see a lot of Cyphers do is they throw a trip right here, which is actually jumpable if you go on this box and jump over it. So make sure that you're throwing it more towards the middle over here, and then also make sure a lot of people will trip then this side over here. And if somebody runs through showers and cave and then comes through here to flank, there's actually no trip. So make sure that you have your trips on the same side. Another trip that I like to throw is right here. And so that makes sure that anybody flanking from B or anybody flanking from A can't get through. Next, we'll move on to Haven. This is arguably Cypher's best map, so I'll show you guys all the different bomb sites and different trips that I have. We'll start off with A though. A really good trip, if you throw it from this wall, you can get a really low trip, and it's deeper. Most people are going to expect it in this hallway, and once they get out of here, they're not going to expect a trip there. So that's a really good trip. Similar thing with this. Another good trip on the side of this. And then same with over here. And you can see it's going to block anybody from going to site from a short. Similar idea, anything connected to this box to site. And this is another really good trip. If you combine it with the cage that I showed you guys over here, that one right there, it's going to block the left and the right side of site. And especially with all of these trips, really good to play off of. And then similar with the cage over here. Can play off this trip really well, and it makes it really awkward if you combine those two for them to push any side of sight. They kind of just have to sit there, and it buys enough time for your teammates to rotate. This is my favorite cam. It gives you early info, but also is a really effective cam. So it sees all of short and long. It gives you a little bit of a second to react wherever you are on site. Just get into position. If you trust yourself enough to make this jump, there's some really good cams up here. These are really good retake cams. No one's ever going to expect a cam up there. So if you're playing Heaven or something like that, you can pop this cam right before your team retakes and call out almost everybody on site. Another early cam to watch the cross. You can put it up here, and it's kind of even hidden by the leaves, but you get just a little crack. If people are going quick, they're not even going to see it, and you can sometimes recall it and get it back. My favorite pistol round strat on Cypher for A, if you put your cage right here, it has the same effect where they kind of have to clear multiple different areas of your cage. So you can kind of sit in this corner over here. I usually put a trip right here at the barrier. This is literally where the barrier is. And so you can sit in this corner right here off of your cam. And so your trip is protecting you, and you have early info on long. And then whenever you do see somebody or somebody hits your trip, you pop your cage, and then you can play in it. You're protected from long and short. So obviously the default trips for B and garage are going to be something like that, but you can actually play some other trips. If you put them on the sides over here, and you can kind of barricade both sides of it, and you can play off of the links. Some other trips you can play off of if you want to play backside. You can do something like that, and then you can also put one over here. And so you can just hide backside. You can play off these trips. You can also couple those with a cage, something like that. And so anybody that pushes through them, you're going to get tagged pretty easily. You can throw a cam all the way up here, something like that. Getting on this box and jumping, you can throw it pretty much anywhere around this room. So obviously on offense, you're going to want to trip A and C every single round. So if you're going to go C and your team is going to commit C, you're not going to want to throw this default trip for normal A flank. They can easily jump this by jumping over here and crouch jumping across. So if you're going A, you're going to want to put a trip looking something like this, where there's nothing to jump over. But that being said, if you're not going A, this is easily jumpable as well. So you're going to want to communicate with your team on what trips you're putting depending on where you're going. And then another thing, for a lineup for the cage cross right here, this will be about where the barriers are. I usually aim right here. That's a perfect cage to cross. Ascent is by far one of my favorite Cypher maps. Let's get into it. To start off with trips again, one really good one, instead of just kind of default, a really good one here. That's better than just kind of default tripping this. Harder to shoot for them, and it's a lot lower, so they'll just kind of run into it right there. You can also put a deeper one, something like this. More really good trips for them running towards switch. You can mix it up. Usually I'll put one close right here the first time, and then after they hit this, the next round, I'll put a deeper one like that. Some good ones that kind of just block off the whole left side of the site are right here. Another thing that I do if I have jets or raises that are getting up close on me, usually I'll put a trip right here and right here, and then I'll couple that with a cage. These cages are really good. And same with something over here. If you want to play off these cages, or really any of these, this is a really good cage that you can kind of go into, play in and out of. You can also play in this corner. As far as cams that I throw, usually I like to jump top gen, and right on this pipe is kind of the sweet spot where you get the legs of tree, and you get some early info on A main as well. This is a really good cam because you can lock down all of the site yourself and get all of the early info without needing a teammate tree. Another good cam with a similar effect is right here. You don't get the early info on A main, and you get not necessarily early info on cat, but you have everything locked down. If you're playing hell or gen or somewhere safe, you should be okay. If your team is ever struggling to hold mid, don't ever be afraid to put a trip here. If you're getting lurked up on or something like that, it's a really good default trip to stop that. Now for B, I have a couple really nerdy trips. One really good one is right there. It gets lane, and then if they're going to switch, this is perfect for stopping jets that are just dashing to switch every single round. You can play something like lane. You can even play backside and spam through this. But basically, if a jet dashes here, they're going to get hit by the trip 100%. They're typically going to be in their smoke as well, so they're not going to see where to shoot it, and they're pretty much dead to right. Another good one is right here. You can also put some trips down the lane as well. This is really effective if you're playing backside. Some good cams I like to throw on top of the giraffe. It gets you early info on everything. And then you can also throw a deeper one back here. And the last one I like to throw is right above up here. Next, we'll move on to split. We'll start out with some trips again. You can throw some on that little white canister, as well as the corner of this little box right here. Some really good trips. I like to angle this. As you can see, it kind of goes off diagonally towards the wall. This is a really good trip for anyone coming back site. Anything around here, I usually put a cage there as well. And that kind of complements each other. You can play back sight. For this one way, you basically just want to hug this wall to the left here. And you just want to aim it right here on that wood pillar. And it's basically just going to bounce into position every time. That's how you throw the one way. This is a really good cam spot that most people aren't going to see. This is my other favorite cam on B site. Go down in this box and just jump throw it up top. And this gets early info heaven and B main. As far as offense goes, so you can put your flank trip here. And then you're going to want to line your crosshair up with this corner of the box. So the first lineup for ramps for your cage is going to be this corner right here. And then the second one is you're going to want to aim right at here, and you're going to want to jump and throw. And so basically that's going to give you full coverage from ramps and from A main to cross and get your alert going. And then you can also do this free round. This cam is really good for seeing if anybody's A main screens or anything like that. As far as buys go, usually I'll buy a ghost, a tripwire, and a cage. Depending on if you like the classic more, you can buy 2 cages and light shield, but I definitely would recommend buying at least 1 trip, as typically people are going to be running it down on pistol round and not be looking for tripwires. As far as gun rounds go, typically I'm going to buy light shield over having half util and full shield. Your util is definitely crucial on Cypher. You're definitely going to want to prioritize util over something like shield in most situations. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helped. Have a great day.